Long before I got into the business of roasting rancid anime garbage, diving too deep into silly VR worlds, and exposing kooky cults, my main hustle was analyzing anime openings, picking apart their symbolism and foreshadowing to find themes and messages hidden in plain sight. I covered a lot of personal faves and all-time greats in that time, but one extremely important opening continued to elude my grasp. Until now. On the surface, Cowboy Bebop's tank seems simple enough. A heavily stylized, catchy instrumental number meant to set the tone, establish the characters, and cement them in your mind for the rest of your natural life. But director Shinichiro Watanabe is a meticulous, deliberate sort of genius who instills deeper meaning into every facet of his work that he can, using every tool at his disposal, and he'd never settle for style without substance if he could help it. I knew there had to be more to Tank than just cool visuals and a cool song. It offers few visual clues as to what that might be, though, and I'm just not a musically minded guy, so after doing enough research to peg it as a more refined spiritual successor to the early jazzy openings of Lupin III, which also clearly inspired the relationship between Bebop's crew and the show itself, I hit a wall and gave up. But the recent release of Netflix's disappointing live-action version of the opening has renewed my interest. Their take on Tank is fun, creatively edited, and full of genuinely impressive shots and effects, and it even explicitly foreshadows many important plot beats from the series. Yet it also feels hollower than the original somehow, and not just for its criminal lack of ed. They may have meticulously recreated the look and sound of anime's least skippable opening, but somewhere along the way they ripped out its soul. And as I was rewatching the anime in preparation for Netflix's adaptation, the nature of that soul finally became clear to me. Perhaps it was the subtle incongruity of the live-action OP itching at the back of my mind, or it may have been the aid of a certain subtly Watanabe-suggested substance that I'm gonna call G-Fuel because most of my audience is in less cool countries than Canada, and also because this video is sponsored by G-Fuel Energy Formula. Use promo code BASEMENT for 30% off an order of any size at gfuel.com. Regardless of what brought me here, I now fully understand what Netflix's editors failed to see. Bebop's opening is literally perfect, a seamless fusion of music and motion that cannot be changed in any way without diminishing its power. And it doesn't just set the tone for every episode of Cowboy Bebop, it is every episode of Cowboy Bebop. To explain what that means, I will need to provide you with even more context. Sorry, but I promise this is going somewhere really cool, and if you stick with this video all the way, there's even a crazy plot twist at the end. You see, when Watanabe set out to create Cowboy Bebop, it was his explicit, stated goal to birth an entirely new genre of science fiction. It says there right in the broken English manifesto scrolling behind Tank, and on several eye catches throughout the series. The work, which becomes a new genre itself, will be called Cowboy Bebop. He even picked out a name for his new genre and explained it in an even lengthier English manifesto on another eye catch. To put a very long story short, Watanabe found the war-obsessed, endlessly epic nature of your typical space opera to be very tedious, and sought to create the genre's antithesis in space jazz. Opera is one of our oldest and most venerated forms of music and theater, and like most classic forms, it tends to emphasize big, important events and big, important people with a touch of the divine to create a sense of grand, sweeping drama. Jazz, in stark contrast, is the music of everyday people and everyday life, an improvised expression of the beauty found in ordinary human emotions, ordinary human interactions, and ordinary human struggles. A jazz ensemble doesn't march to the orders of a conductor or follow fixed sheet music. Each musician acts independently, playing their assigned tune their way while trying to stay out of the other performer's way and support their comrades' creative flourishes wherever they can. That's not to say there are no fixed compositions in jazz, but the same jazz tune is never played the same way twice. It might start and end the same, but the players forge a new path between those points every time they play it. Depending on the emotion of the moment, the same basic musical framework can become an up-tempo dance number, a goofy little musical joke, or even a somber ballad. And the bounty hunting sessions of Cowboy Bebop are no different. They all reuse the same basic plot beats, but remix them, discard the ones that aren't needed, to create what feels like a whole new song each time. But rest assured, it is the same basic tune each time, and the name of that tune is Tank. We open, often in medias res with the hunt underway, on Spike playing it cool, typically in some sort of bar, but it could be anywhere. He's a likable sort who makes friends wherever he goes, which is useful when you want to bum a light or pick up a lead. Once he gets the scent, Spike is off on a merry chase, information swirling all around him, yet refusing to coalesce into one coherent picture. That's what the jumbled manifesto behind his silhouette is all about. Eventually, he'll cross paths with his quarry, usually when he wasn't expecting to, and turn his cocksure grin their way. After introducing us to our leading player, the OP takes a second to introduce his instrument, the swordfish, blending an extreme close-up of its distinctive headlight with a wider shot of its equally distinctive gun barrel. Once Faye Valentine joins the crew, she does her hunting independent of Spike, usually from a diametrically opposed angle. And her methods are a bit more measured than his. She moves at a steady pace, approaches her target when she's good and ready, and generally uses her feminine wiles to catch them off guard. The information she's working with is no less jumbled than Spike's, though. She just has a way of looking good even when she's making a huge mistake. And after we see her looking good, a cigarette dangling at a calculatedly casual angle from her hand, we get a look at her instrument too, the 6-chamber missile magazine and twin machine gun barrels of the Red Tail. This stage of the hunt always ends poorly for the pair of them. There's always something they both overlooked, an element they just couldn't see coming. And that oversight almost always leads to a gunfight, if not a kung fu street brawl. Usually it's both. As the action picks up in the OP, the bassline and bongo beat that have kept the composition feeling steady up to now fall away, leaving the music and characters effectively in freefall. But it's also in these predictable moments of unpredicted violence that the crew begins to get a clearer picture of what the case is really about, as symbolized by the more coherently arranged manifesto text on the side of those guns and behind Kung Fu Kick and Spike on their respective album covers. These album shots also serve to highlight one of the most impressive selling points of Cowboy Bebop as a production, the remarkable technical specificity of its animation. With the gun, we see the trigger pull, the hammer snap, the muzzle flash, and the hand recoil in triplicate, just so that we don't miss how realistic and detailed those movements are. And when Spike throws his flying kick, his silhouette practically looks like it was rotoscoped over a real professional martial artist. They even add a little motion blur to make it feel less like anime and more like film. Another flourish of technical specificity, the panel, pedal, and throttle of Spike's ship, brings us into the next part of Bebop's standard tune, the space chase. And for any otaku watching who somehow doesn't know what Bebop's about already, this flash of obscenely detailed mechanical design porn, courtesy of industry legend Kimitoshi Yamane, is gonna immediately grab their attention. I could talk about just the control panels in Cowboy Bebop ships all day, but today is not that day. We see the swordfish in full view for the first time as it bursts into the sea of seemingly random words, then blows past it into a realm of pure shape and color, where it's joined by the red tail, Jet's hammerhead, and the bow of the Bebop herself. It's quite significant that the manifesto text and the structure that it symbolizes falls away as the swordfish takes off, because Cowboy Bebop's flight scenes, its chases and space battles, are the show's show's equivalent of jazz solos, the moments where its virtuoso animators get to flex their skills and express their sensibilities and creativity through sakuga. This textless effect is slightly tarnished even in Funimation's version of the opening, as the English credits used in place of the original's gorgeously geometric computer readout kanji have a similar playbill-esque font to the liner notes plastered all over the OP's backgrounds. I really meant it when I said that changing this OP even a little can only make it worse. Speaking of things getting worse, in every typical Bebop bounty hunt, there's a moment that knocks Spike flat on his ass. Sometimes metaphorically, sometimes physically. Sometimes in a funny, embarrassing way. Sometimes it's just fucking depressing. The one constant is that this moment throws Spike's, and by extension our understanding of the case, into disarray yet again, though it'll be sorted soon enough. Because there's one other near constant here. It's down to Jet to help clean up this mess. But not this time. This time he's gonna take a long drag on his cigarette, clip his bonsai, and just relax while those idiots sort out their own, damn it, Spike. That moment of Mickey Mousing isn't the only interesting musical flourish here, by the way. The bass line and beat both return to normal when Jet's silhouette appears, echoing his stabilizing influence on the rest of the crew. Also take note that the manifesto beneath his feet, while still incomplete, is much more coherently arranged than it was for either of his shipmates when they started running. The Black Dog didn't earn his reputation by running off half-cocked with incomplete information. The Netflix OP ruins literally all of this by moving the running Jet shot to the second bar after the solo when the bass is already back, removing the shot of him smoking entirely, and having the Japanese translated version of the manifesto shift around incomprehensibly beneath his feet. Next, like both previous character introductions, this one caps off by showcasing Jet's instrument, the Hammerhead, with its deodorant-shaped hull and retractable digging claws. Though there is one other constant in these character cards that we should really talk about. Why are all the main characters smoking? The obvious answer is that it looks cool, and yeah, that wispy smoke animation on the flat-colored background sure do be sexy. But more than that, the cigarette is a thematic symbol that unites the Bebop crew. For all their differences, each adult on the ship is a creature of habit and compulsion, driven to follow the same patterns, to repeat the same mistakes, until the inevitable finally catches up with them. And not just them. Consider Jet's old partner and his last smoke in Black Dog's Serenade. Notably, they're all smoking regular old boring cancer sticks, despite the world building allowing for something else, cause Watanabe is a 40-5 friendly, G-Fuel cool kind of dude. Also, the death by degrees metaphor wouldn't work nearly as well with something non-addictive, such as a powdered energy drink that's available in a wide range of delicious flavors, like the new Orange Cranthony or Doom Sour Demonade, which is definitely what I've been talking about this whole time. The OP then takes a short breather to display a whole slate of credits alongside two static images of Spike and Faye looking effortlessly sexy in their own unique ways, possibly from before they fell into the bounty hunting life. Then we get some really fun shots, accompanied by increasingly frantic music, encapsulating what each crew member is all about. Jet's a tough guy and a straight shooter. Faye makes being totally lost and confused look hotter than you'll ever be. Spike Spiegel goes through life with a skip in his step. And Ed is that one unpredictable sour note that ties the whole composition together and takes it to a whole other level. That tittering alto sax almost sounds like they're having a laugh after hacking into the music itself. The Netflix OP puts some completely random musicians in this spot, though that may just be a fake out that'll change when Ed joins the crew. If it is, I retract that criticism. Of course, all that's just what these shots tell you on initial viewing. By the time you reach the series end, you realize they're animated impressionist pop art covers of each crew member's solo single, with art speaking very specifically to their individual journeys throughout and before the series. Jet turning on his old partner in Black Dog's Serenade, Faye's blind scramble to reclaim any piece of her forgotten identity, Spike's fatal inability to escape his past, embodied in his left eye, which can only look back. And Edward, still just being Edward. In its final shots, Tank shows us the ships taking off one more time, starting with a close-up on the Swordfish's rolling wheel, just to flex that mech design. Redtail's missile mag and Hammerhead's towhook are given similarly detailed technical animations that make my eyeballs leak pre-cum, and when they pull back into silhouette, the rotation around each ship is so consistent that they almost look like 3D models, which is a hell of a statement for one of the last great hand-painted anime of the 90s to make. And speaking of statements, these shots also quietly foreshadow the very final moments of the series, with Jet and Faye left behind while Spike rides off into the sunset. The final shot with any meaning in it, which comes right before the self-explanatorily greatest title screen ever put on television, is frustratingly difficult to parse. It's clearly an eyeball of a digital or possibly mechanical nature, and the match cut at the start of Jamming with Edward might make you think it's the laser lens of MPU's satellite, but this OP would never make such a restrictively specific episode reference, especially not with its most important shot. One interpretation that does kind of work is that it might be Spike's artificial eye, the one that sees only the present, though I'm inclined to believe that it's more of an abstract representation of the concept of eyes, because eyes are a key thematic motif throughout this entire series, from the first episode's red-eye drug and the shaman telling Spike to open his third eye, to Ed's net-diving goggles, to the most tragic moments in the entire series. This is the OP's way of priming you to keep an eye out for that theme in each session, though there may also be some significance in the director's name appearing above what kinda looks like the Eye of God. Speaking of credits, and gods, there is one more that I'd like to call attention to. Isamu Imakake is the man behind Cowboy Bebop's beautifully lived-in background art. It's thanks to him that the ship and every port it stops in speak to the personalities of every person living there. And it's also thanks to him that we have...
I'm Helen Keller.
What?
Are you uncomfortable seeing a talkative Helen who can see and hear, Yuko?
Not to mention every other Happy Science anime since then. Imakake's been the cult's go-to director for their last 6 movies, so he is responsible for all of the insanity that you bore witness to in my last video, which, if you haven't seen it yet, I think is my funniest and best video ever, so definitely check that out next, perhaps after enjoying some G Fuel. Imakake was also the set designer for The Laws of the Sun and the visual director for The Golden Laws, so Catboy Satan's harem chamber and the interior of that time machine Albert Einstein built are actually close cousins to the Bebop. Sorry to ruin/improve that for you, but I figure you'll forgive me since I just opened your third eye to the staggering brilliance hidden in this deceptively simple opening, and sadly missing entirely from its live-action counterpart, which does not bode super well for the show that's attached to, but then the Lost Session trailer was kinda cool, so I'm gonna wait to see how it all shakes out and make a review, or possibly roast, that you guys will see sometime next week, so look forward to that. Till then, though, I'm Geoff Thew, professional anime bounty hunter, and I'll see ya, Space Cowboy.